What's going on, everybody? Hopefully, you guys are having a great day out there. Hopefully, my audio issues from earlier are fixed. We're about to find out, though. Can tell you that much. We are about to figure that out. I hope they are. I wish I would be lying if I told you I just spent the last 3 hours trying to figure that out. But it's absolutely what happened. But hopefully we got it figured out. Let me know. TNCT, welcome back. For the love of God, please tell me my audio is beautiful. Because I just spent 3 hours on it. 3 hours trying to figure out audio. My brain is fried from looking at audio settings right now. It's just like a big pile of mush. So hopefully it's figured out. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I've been in the shack all day trying to troubleshoot and figure things out. Great audio. Awesome. Thank you for that. Hopefully it's synced up. Hopefully you're enjoying the radio there. Let me know. Drop a comment. Let me know what you've been doing with the radio. Don't mess with me now. Don't mess with me. Don't say however your audio. I'm about to blow a gasket as it is, trying to figure out what driver issues I'm having. Don't play with me. Oh, I'm good. Whew. See? You just dropped my blood pressure by a metric ton. A metric ton. So, yeah, it's the last 3 hours have been just a blur, to say the least. But thanks for coming on back. If you guys weren't in here this morning, I've been trying to figure out this new audio setup. I've got some new equipment, some new gear in the studio, in the shack. So I'll be making a video on that pretty shortly, though, for you guys, actually. Just because I want to talk about how do I set up my audio with the ICOM 7300 and a dynamic microphone like the Hangout PR781, because if you know anything about ICOMs, you'll know that they have moved over on any of the modern ICOM rigs to using condenser or electret condenser mics, not dynamic. So it's kind of tricky, and it's actually kind of a pain. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, but I did it anyways for other reasons, to set up a dynamic microphone with my 7300 here in the shack. So I may need some water. Absolutely. What's going on, Andy? DK5ONV. Awesome. Thank you. And let's see. Using repeaters. And also, you bought an All-Star node. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm glad you're able to hit the 146A2 repeater from where you're at down there in the Mosinee area. That's awesome. And if you didn't know this is a fun fact. If you didn't know this, JT, who's in the chat there, he was actually the winner of the K0LWC GS5B giveaway. You may even remember the video like a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. It's been a while. We gave away an HT right here on the channel, and I asked for nominations. If anybody knew a young ham that was in need of another radio, because what ham doesn't need another radio? And JT, that you see there in the chat, he was nominated by somebody, and he got the radio. Fun fact: where he lives in central Wisconsin is actually where I'm from. I'm from the Wausau area. That's where I grew up. So we actually were very close to the same area. Probably know some of the same people, to be honest. So that's very cool that you're using the radio. That's awesome. Indeed, happy 1st of August. July is done. It's over. I love my 7300. It's a phenomenal rig. I mean, that's why you hear so many of them on the air. They are really, really good. Let me adjust this chat box here. I got that working too, which was great. Doing all kinds of things in the shack today. Thankfully, my wife has let me play around here in the shack today to get some of this stuff figured out. Because, we've been pretty busy, and I still got a laundry list of stuff to do. But I will get to that. Let's go up to about maybe, just trying to adjust the size here. Let's go up to about 24. See if that's any better. All right, just reset the chat. So let me know what you're doing, where you're at. Awesome. Ham Radio Basics. Glad to see you back in here. Loves the 7300 and 7200. More than any big boob blondie with polished toenails. That's funny. Yeah, the 7300 is a great radio. I mean, for the money you spend, nothing touches it. Nothing touches it on the market. For sometimes under $1,000 that I've seen, nothing comes close to that. But yeah, so I'm glad, JT, you're having fun with the radio. That's awesome. And I said it's always good to support young hams. I mean, we've all been there. I know I've been there. I remember when I was a young ham, we actually had a local club in the Wausau, Wisconsin area. I went to a meeting, and my first radio was actually a loaner radio. It was a loaner from a fellow ham that had an old ICOM. It was like a drab green in color. I can't remember what the model was on it now, but it was a very simple 2-meter only, just something to get me on the repeaters. And he loaned it to me for a number of months until I could afford my own radio. And that's, I think, what we all have to do, right? You know, it's important to support young hams because they are the future of the hobby. Oh, getting a 7300 JH. Awesome. That's very, very cool. You'll love it. Promise you, you're going to absolutely love the 7300. Yes, I do know the WVRA club in Wausau. I know a lot of those guys because they've been around ham radio for as long as I've been around ham radio and longer. I'm sure you know KB9VBR. He's on YouTube here. KB9VBR, Mike, he actually gave me my first technician study book when I was probably your age or even younger. I went to a meeting, met KB9VBR, and he gave me my first tech book. So that's awesome. Let's see. Some of us are still there, not young, just poor. Yeah, I said I know that feeling too. So I said maybe I need to not restrict it to young hams, but it was good. It was good to support the young hams out there. The 7610, comparing it, absolutely. 7610 is a great radio, but it's probably overkill for what I need. I love the fact that you can output the 7610 to a monitor externally with no extra hardware. You can do it on the 7300, but you need extra hardware. With the 7610, you can just plug your big screen monitor right in, kind of like the Yaesu DX10. But again, for the price jump, it's not worth it. I don't need 2 VFOs on HF. It's just overkill. For all that. So it's too much for me. Let's see here. What else are we talking about? What's going on, Chris N1XJI? Hopefully you guys are doing okay after all those storms you had out there. I know there were a bunch of tornadoes and just really, really nasty, severe weather on the eastern seaboard a few days ago. Something that I think the folks on the East Coast just aren't used to. We're used to it here. We get it a lot here in the upper Midwest and in Colorado, where I was for so long, but I'm not sure if you guys out there are used to those kind of things. I heard there was some pretty good tornadoes out that way, so glad that you guys are doing okay, because I definitely heard it was pretty nasty. But the big thing for me right now really is trying to get my HF wire back up and running. That's the big thing for me. It came down a couple months ago. I've been using it in its broken state for a while, and it's worked okay. I've been doing a lot of FT8, haven't done a lot of phone just because of that. But I do have a replacement antenna. I also have a long-term plan about what I want to do when getting a hex beam. But I have to get the wire up. So if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, and it's just at K0LWC on Instagram or Twitter, you've probably seen the picture. I was in a winter coat. It looked like a burqa. It was like a face covering and a winter hat, and I was sweating. I must have lost 5 pounds of water weight in that afternoon. I was outside trying to get my wire in the air, and I was using my drone to take a piece of mason's line up and over a 70-foot tall tree. Well, once I got in the backyard, my backyard is a protected wetland, and if you know what that means, basically it just means swamp or marsh. And I went back there to start trying to pull line and do all the things, and I was attacked by mosquitoes, just attacked. I have actually probably 6 bites on my face still. And that was the only part of my body that was exposed, and they got me 6 times in a matter of minutes. And I was like, this is nuts. I cannot be back here. I need to fog back there before I go and do antenna work in the summertime. It's just wild. The mosquito in Minnesota should be like the state bird. They're huge. If you're not careful, they'll pick you up and carry you away. That's how crazy they are. Yeah, you're in Mass. Okay, Chris, you're in Mass. Well, I mean, I don't think you guys were in it there in Mass, so that's good. K0ATV onboard COS. When I see COS, I think of Colorado Springs, but maybe it means something different for you. I did not get on the band opening, David. Were you on it? How was it? I have been seeing some maps pop up on Twitter of pretty massive openings on 2 meters in the eastern half of the country. Maybe that's what you're referring to. I mean, I've seen some huge paths on the Tropo that's going on in 2 meters. I've been on 6 meters, though. That's the 1 in 10 I have right now. If you're active on 6, and if you're not, by the way, highly recommend 6 meters. What a fantastic, fantastic band. I was a ham for like 11 or 12 years, I think 11, before I tried 6 meters for the first time. And I don't know why I waited so long. There's a lot of positives, especially if you're a newer ham. The antennas to get on 6, to have like a directional antenna, they're not very big and they're not very expensive. They don't take up a lot of room. You don't need a huge mast or a tower to put them up, and you can have a ton of fun during e-skip season on 6 meters. So if you've never done 6, it's so fun. It's like it goes from dead and there's nothing, and then like literally like a blink of an eye, there's like S9, and it's like the guy sitting right next to you. It's a really, really fun band. But yes, I got it fixed, Thor. I did get it fixed. I'm very excited. I don't know what I did. I'm being honest. I have no clue. I'm literally like switching drivers, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I have no clue what I did to make this work. But guess what? I got it working and the settings are saved. That's what's important. Yeah, we have so many bugs here. It's ridiculous. Minnesota and mosquitoes. It's horrible. Do you have mosquitoes over there? I'm curious. Now, you mentioned bugs, but do you have mosquitoes? Do you know what mosquitoes are? I don't know if that's where else in the world mosquitoes roam. I'm sure they're probably a worldwide nuisance, but certainly a really unfortunate thing for us here. Let's go over and take a look at a couple of things here. Let's see if I got this to work correctly. Oh, look at that. Now I just got to take the chat box off, though. There we go. How cool is that? I want to go over here and just talk real briefly about one of my latest videos. I'm curious to your guys' thoughts on this since we're hanging out now. If you didn't see it, it came out a couple days ago. We can look through it in here. This was the video that I just put out this past week, and it was around CB radio, or 11 meters, going FM. Yes, they are going to get FM on 11 meters, which I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about 11 meters and FM. What do you guys think about this? Because I think it's pretty wild. I think it's going to lead to a lot of problems. Of course, these are my opinions. Let me just get this to skip through here. So if you haven't seen this video, make sure you go check it out. But I'm curious to your guys' thoughts because I just don't think it's going to be a great idea. I just think it's going to lead to a lot of interference, especially on 27.185, which if you've never been on 11 meters, that's channel 19. That's the main channel for truckers that they like to use. I just think it's going to be an utter disaster for those people out there. Because it's just going to lead to people not being able to understand things. And again, they're going to be like, why can't I hear it? They're going to have someone tell them, oh, well, they have FM now. You should go buy your radio. And again, I think that's the whole point of what they're trying to do. I mean, again, that's why companies exist. I'm not saying it's a terribly bad thing, but that's just the reality of it. You know, the FCC didn't want to do it at first. They wanted to leave it as is until, you know, they complained and said, hey, are you really sure you don't want to add FM? Let's add FM. Come on. So I'm curious to your guys' thoughts. I mean, it's definitely blown up. It's approaching 30,000 views here in the last 3 days, and it's been getting a lot of attention and a lot of discussion, and it makes sense. It's a big change for 11 meters. So make sure you watch that if you haven't. Just a quick plug for that video in case you haven't had a chance to take a look at it yet. But it's an interesting one. So make sure you check that out. Do know also that, again, one of the upcoming videos for me is going to be I want to make a video, again, on the audio for my 7300. I know you guys have probably seen, if you have a 7300, I got a couple videos of how I set up my audio using the hand microphone. Well, now that I have the PR781 and I now have two other pieces of audio equipment. In fact, you saw them in the last clip. Let me bring that back up just because you can see it. Let me bring that one back up here. If you take a look on the left-hand side of my shack there by the speaker, you'll see there's a big black box with XLR cables in it. It says Studio V3 and then a red box next to it. That's some new equipment in the last few months here in the shack, and both are pretty much necessary. The black one is a preamplifier, which allows me to use this particular Heil microphone on my 7300 because really, this microphone and the 7300 are not very compatible. They can work fine, but if you buy the extra equipment you need, like you see here on my shack desk, they work wonderful. It's a lot more trouble than it's worth, honestly. But again, there's reasons why I wanted to do it. And then the other box next to it is called a Focusrite. The Focusrite is what allows me to connect my Heil PR781 to my computer, which is what's allowing this to happen right now. So both of those are new things, and I want to do a little video on those for people. Allergic to FM mode and Morse codes. Oh, don't say you're allergic to Morse code or CW. You might have someone start sending you threatening email. I've had that happen more than a couple times. Excuse me. And they have mosquitoes out in the East Coast, of course. Yeah, mosquitoes, horrible. Did not have them in Colorado at all. Loved it. Loved Colorado for that reason. Absolutely the state bird where I am now here in Minnesota. I have not done the latest update, Thor. I have done the one that was a couple months ago. And from my understanding, there was not a ton of change from the one from a few months ago to this one. That's why, really, honestly, I haven't been that motivated to do the new one. Just because I did the one a few months ago. That's the one that brought, like the FT8 presets in the ICOM. That's great. That was a huge upgrade. I love that. I was dying for that feature where we could actually have like different settings for different types of computer connections. That was awesome. But yeah, I haven't done the latest one yet. And that's why it sometimes pays off, Thor, to wait, because being first is not always good, especially when it comes to things like firmware and software. Let somebody else be the one that figures out what the bugs are, right? Let them do that. You don't want to be that guy. I said, you end up like me, sitting in the shack for 3.5 hours on a Sunday trying to figure out why the hell your audio is not working on your computer. Yeah, David, good to see you as well. Thanks for popping by if you're leaving on out. Good to see you. Yeah, does the mic need phantom power? It does need phantom power. That's the thing. It's a dynamic mic. Dynamic mics need phantom power. So that's where the preamp comes in, the 48 volts of phantom power. Both of these devices actually have phantom power, but I actually use the Studio V3 tube amp to do my my phantom power. And it also is it actually is a tube preamp, and I can actually change the tone of my microphone in the preamp itself, which is really neat. That way I can actually do some processing using a good old-fashioned tube and not just relying on software and electronics on the software side to do all the processing in terms of how the microphone sounds. What's going on, Marty? Thanks for coming in. We're just hanging out in the shack today. If anybody do people have DMR here? Maybe you have C4 FM? Let me know. We can actually maybe jump on the radio and do a little demo of that. I have my Anytone here. This, of course, is my go-to radio. This is the one that I carry the most until I get myself a Yaesu FT3. That's the next thing on my list. Have both. Awesome. This is my go-to. I carry this more than anything else, for sure. I do have other radios. You guys have probably seen this one. This is from an old video that I did. This is my old Yaesu VX6. Speaking of radios that I had from when I was a kid, I've had this radio forever. Yeah, I love it because it's a freaking tank. It's submersible. You can dunk it in water and leave it sit, and it'll actually work and receive everything underwater. This is a great radio. Has a Diamond SRH 320A antenna on it. It's not a bad little antenna. This thing eventually is going to snap off, but this is a great little tri-band antenna, so I recommend this one. I said I'm an ICOM guy for HF through and through. Love my ICOM stuff, but when it comes to HTs, I'm a Yaesu. 100% Yaesu. Kenwood's got nice stuff. I had a Kenwood D74. Battery life was awful. The thing was the most complex radio ever, but it was still okay. This is a recent review video. You've probably seen this one. This is the Retivus RT10. This is a 900 megahertz license-free radio. So think of it kind of like a 900 megahertz version of FRS. This one was sent to me for review, so this one just had a video on it. You can check that out. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but something eventually. We'll see what we actually find out what I can do with it. I actually may give it to my son for his birthday. Let's check out the comments. C4FM, awesome. Glad to see you guys have that. Let's see. Using the Yaesu 4 XVR and FT70. FT70 is a great radio. I absolutely love that radio too. I am on. If you want to jump on and say hello, if you have DMR, the talk group is, before we do that, I'm going to run out real fast, but get your DMR stuff ready. Let me actually make sure I give you the right information here, and I'll bring it up on screen for you, and we can make a contact over the air here. I have kind of a Hangout spot that I hang out more often than not. It's a massive linked repeater system that's based in Colorado. It uses a lot of different types of links. Let me just bring up the connections here. And I have my hotspot here under my desk in the shack. That's how I get into it. If you're using DMR, it's 310847. 310847. So I'm going to type that in there. Let's see. If you are using All-Star, give you that one too. It is 46079 for All-Star. And if you're using YSF, it is 92722. Put that in there. And Wires X, which is if you got one of those awesome Yaesu radios. The Wires X is just called Skyhub Link, and that is 46361. So give me just about 2 seconds. I'm going to run in the other room real quick, grab something. I'll be right back, and then I'll hop on the air. So if any of you guys have a digital radio, get it out now, check the chat, and we'll see if we can't make a contact here in the live stream. So just give me 1 second. All right, I am back. Important points as we start this. This linked repeater system is really big. So what that means is we need to at least leave 3 seconds in between transmissions, and make sure you key up for a good 1.5 seconds before you start talking, and then also wait a good 1.5 seconds before you let go of the key. Because otherwise the whole link system, it just needs time to get up and get back down for a transmission. Yes, Marty Linux. Yeah, what I'm about to use right now to get into the digital network is running off a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, actually. So yes, you do use them in ham radio. And the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus has a little radio board attached on top of it called a DV Mega, which is a little UHF board. All right, let me just dial it up here. K0LWC on Skyhub link 310847. Let's see who's out there. All right. Again, make sure you check the chat. Find a way to get into Skyhub link here. We'll see if I can't throw out another call. The talk group is on 310847 on DMR Brandmeister or YSF 92722. What's going on in Cleveland? I am in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, and this is Daryl, W3ORR. W3ORR, K0LWC. Good afternoon, Daryl. I'm just doing some live streaming here on the YouTube channel this afternoon and getting some stuff done around the shack. How are things out your way today? Daryl is based in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Painting a fence, day number 2, 3. Now that's pretty much it. I don't think the Skyhub Link room is actually working on the Wires X software. And I'm not sure why.
Oh, there's a little breaking news. Oh, thanks. That's super helpful to know then, because I did post that up there. But if it's not working, that would explain if people are having trouble getting into it then. That's good to note for future reference, at least in the short term here, that people may not be able to access it that way. Boy, painting a fence. Well, I don't envy you, Daryl. I have to restain my deck here before the end of the summer, and I am not looking forward to it. It doesn't sound very enjoyable, at least not yet. That's why I'm not doing it right now, because I think the mosquitoes might eat me alive. So again, what's going on in Cleveland? From me up here in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's the worst part. I'm using a latex stain. It's called Redwood. Good stuff, but the paint sprayer does not like it.
Ah, smart man. You got the sprayer. That's what I need. It sure would make short work of doing the deck, because I'm doing the old paintbrush and roller method, and like I said, really not looking forward to it. But yeah, we're doing one of those acrylic-based stains, which I don't know. I guess I'm just unfamiliar with them. I've always done the oil-based. A little bit the first time I ever used an acrylic on wood before. So again, we're on Brandmeister 310847.
I believe Home Depot rents paint sprayers.
No. I need to rent a sprayer. Well, that's good to know, because I might actually go do that, because that would probably cut this job way, way down in the amount of time it's going to take. Because we have a fairly large deck. I have a feeling it's probably not as much as whatever fence you're doing, but it still is going to be a heck of a job. So I might have to go to Home Depot and rent me one of those. So again, this is 310847 on DMR Brandmeister. It's also YSF 92722. Or All-Star 46079.
10 by 1 plank wood across it, and it took me 4 hours by brush, and then I did another 30-foot section and did that.
There's a screen on the radio. Let the repeaters drop here. Oh, it's definitely time to get a sprayer then, I'll tell you that, Daryl. You've convinced me right there. Because, yeah, I can't imagine how long it's going to take to do it by hand. It would just take forever. Well, my last question before I jump, or see if anybody else is in there, is have you guys been getting a lot of that monsoon rain, or has it been mostly south of you in the high country down in Colorado? Calling on 6 meters. Where are you calling on 6 meters at? I'll try to tune up.
He's been down south. I mean, we haven't gotten anything in Cheyenne. It's gone all the way
Yep.
around us to the north.
This is the Anytone 878.
East of us, nothing here. I mean, this is the first time in years that I can remember that Frontier Days did not get interrupted by severe weather. And it did not happen this year. And today's the last day of it, so they lucked out really well.
W3ORR K0LWC. Well, that's always good when you can get off a large event like that without having to worry about severe weather. Yeah, I said they've certainly been getting quite a bit of it down there in Colorado, but it seems like you guys have remained unscathed, which is a good thing. But all right, I'll take a quick standby for somebody else, Daryl, and then I said if not, I'm going to jump out and then get back to the live stream here. I'm just kind of hanging out, testing out some new audio equipment here in the shack that I put in, and boy, was that a 3-hour project to troubleshoot my audio between 3 or 4 different devices and audio drivers, and I'm having flashbacks already just thinking about it. So great to hear you. Thanks for coming back. For me throwing out my call sign, Daryl, appreciate it. And people watching here are enjoying it, watching us talk back and forth. So have a great day out there. Hopefully it's a little cooler than it has been for you. And we'll talk at you a little bit later on. And hopefully hear you on Tuesday night as well, when we talk about all that fun gust front stuff on Tuesday night. W3ORR K0LWC on 310847 Skyhub Link DMR. Yeah, the Anytone's great. If you're looking for a great DMR radio, this is one of them.
K0LWC W3ORR. Yep, I remember the days when I had a home studio set up, and what a nightmare that was, especially when I had to move and put it all back together. Not fun. All right, brother, be safe. 75 degrees out here in Cheyenne.
Nice,
and smoky in the atmosphere, as usual. 7-3 for now. W3R listening, Skyhub Link 449 200.
I said they got some smoke out there just like we do. And we'll go through some of the questions here. Yeah, uploading and updating your code plug, very good. Yeah, Anytone's a great radio for the price point. I mean, it's not perfect. I said that. I don't know if that's for me. Throw my call sign, otherwise I'm going to let that go. It's a great radio. It's not perfect. It does get overloaded on the front end. It's not the best radio, but for DMR and the fact that you're getting, UHF and VHF, analog and DMR all rolled into one for that price point, you can't beat it. It's a phenomenal radio. It's a really, really great HT. How do you do a talk group manually? Easy. I'll show you right now. Let's say I want to put in a different talk group. Let's see here. We just go in here. And I'm going to start in the menu. See if I actually can do this while looking at the screen. So I'm going to click on menu. I'm going to go to talk group. Talk group, think of it as like a channel, or a way to, just think of it like a channel in kind of an old school term. I'm going to go to manual dial if I wanted to put in a brand new talk group that I wanted to use that I don't have pre-programmed. It's going to default to private ID, but I want to change that. And what I do is I hit the asterisk key. And if you look in the screen when I hit the asterisk key, it will go to, come on, let's try that again. There we go, group ID. And then I can dial in, whatever number I want, and that's it. And I can it'll dial into that talk group. So you just actually, not the asterisk key, the pound key. You just do pound key. See how it toggles between talk group and private? Private is radio to radio communication. If I was going to talk to somebody privately across the network, and group ID is like a public talk group on the DMR Brandmeister network. So I can dial in anything. I'll dial up 31629, which is the swine of Southwest Iowa and Nebraska. And now I just key up with a PTT. K0LWC on 31629. And then now I just keyed up on swine. And there's Jack. So that's how you dial a talk group. Very, very easy. All right, checking the latest video there on CB Radio and FM. Very good, Marty. Let me know what you think. It's a hotly debated topic right now. You could say that. A lot of people are chatting about it. I am using the repeaters, so when I'm talking on Skyhub Link on 310-847, you're using a lot of repeaters. I'll show you. And if you're looking for a great place, by the way, to hang out on digital, the Skyhub Link's great, and you can get into it through a gazillion different ways. Let me just bring up the coverage map, and I'll kind of show you what the Skyhub Link system looks like. It's a really impressive system. And Jack, who you just saw pop up there, he's kind of one of the admins, does a great job with it. So if you're looking for a really friendly place to hang out, Skyhub Link is phenomenal. Let me bring it up here on the stream. Take off the chat. So this is the Skyhub Link system. You can see that you have coverage from Wyoming and the panhandle of Nebraska here, all the way across Colorado, the Front Range of Colorado, all the way down to the New Mexico border. And you also have coverage throughout much of the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. Some of these are analog repeaters. Some of them are digital repeaters. Some of them are DMR. Some of them are C4FM. It is a multi-mode system. So you have a bunch of stuff on here. P25, C4FM, DMR, analog. If you can use it to get on the radio, you can pretty much use it on this system. Echolink is on here. They have an Echolink node. So if you even don't have a radio, you can use Echolink. So this is a phenomenal system. You can see just how awesome the coverage is here across Colorado. Here's Denver right here. Here's Colorado Springs. It really, really is a great system, and everybody on the Skyhub Link is really super nice, and it's a very, very nice place to hang out and chat, and there's a bunch of regulars on there. So, sometimes people come to me and they're like, what do you think about DMR and digital? It seems like everybody just gets on these talk groups and asks for a weather report, and they bounce and take off. And there is some truth to that in some of these cases, right? Like, there are some talk groups on these systems that I don't like listening to them. In fact, it's usually where most people start with using digital, and that is like on Brandmeister. They have like USA and worldwide, and you can talk to people all over the world and all over the country, and that's cool. But it's usually short conversations because these are meant to be very large coverage area talk groups, right? USA, across the world. So nobody wants to tie it up for very long. I think the beauty of digital is once you get in to find these little pockets of people like Skyhub Link and others, where you got regulars. They're on there every single day. When you get to that level and you're starting to find your home and you have maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 talk groups that you found around common interests, geography, whatever it is, that's when things get really, really cool, because that's much more enjoyable than sitting on USA and hearing people talk about the weather all day. So Skyhub Link, check it out. It's skyhublink.com. I'll post it up in the chat. So if you're looking for a place to dial into your hotspot, I highly recommend Skyhub Link. You'll hear me there a ton. I'm there quite a bit. So again, I can't recommend it enough. So let's check it out here. What else is going on? Oh, what's going on? Usual Sunday, studying to get my letters and number. Getting your license, that's awesome. Recently got into 11-meter sideband. Very cool. I grew up on 11-meter sideband. A lot of people did, although a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but absolutely. Swine Group, that's right, Swine. It stands for Southwest Iowa, and then NE is for the state of Nebraska. It's kind of centered around the Omaha, Nebraska area, 31629 on DMR. You'll find a regular group of guys, a handful out there on 31629. I also have it static on my stuff. And yes, Skyhub just put a fusion repeater in Colorado Springs, absolutely. So again, skyhublink.com is a great place to check out. It really is Colorado's premier. It's the best link system for digital. It's just a phenomenal system, and they've done such a great job, and there's so many people working on it. It's really, really an awesome system. And I host a net there first Tuesday of the month, every month at 8 p.m. I host a weather net. which you can learn more about at coloradosevereweather.net. So you can check that out as well. But that's what we're doing here today. The goal in the future is to get my wire back up. If I can just overcome the mosquitoes, I can get my wire back in the air. Because right now I'm relegated to 6 meters only. And I have a 2-element directional antenna for 6 meters, which is great. I'm just going to tune up and see if I even hear anything. I don't. And it doesn't help that when I have my lights on in my shack, I have tons of noise because they're cheap LED lights from China. So not exactly the best. Not seeing a ton of activity on 6 meters. I'm looking at DX maps. And by the way, if you're ever curious about propagation, if you have your general or your technician, because 6 meters you can do with your tech license, 10 meters you can do with your tech license, and you can do CW on many bands with your tech license. If you're ever looking for a site to wonder just how conditions are, generally speaking, this is the one that I always use. It's called DX Maps. I just come into here and you can sort by frequency right here. You can go to the HF, so you can see here 10, 12, 15, 17, 20, 30, 40, 60, and so on. So here is 6 meters right now, and it's taking a look at, what contacts are being made out there in real time. So this is happening in the last few minutes here, maybe the last 30 or so. There's some openings up and down the East Coast. That's pretty normal. Opening from the southeast up to us near Minnesota, Wisconsin. That's been pretty normal the last few days. Let's check out 10 meters. I can't get on 10 meters right now. Thankfully, it's not open. Otherwise, I'd feel even worse. And we can also take a look at conditions and how they're doing on 20 meters right now. Here's what 20 looks like right now. Looks like a good opening into Europe. That looks really nice. Let's check out 40 meters, date time. A lot of short stuff, especially over here. Not bad. Let's take a look at 17. Probably open to Europe a ton. Yep. A lot of stuff out of Europe and coming out of South America too, over to Europe. So 17 actually looks in pretty good shape. That makes me kind of bummed because I like 17. 17 is great. It's a quiet band. Yeah, look at that. 17 looks really nice right now. So, hey, if you got that HF radio, check out 17 because it sure does look nice. Let me just take this one back off for you. Why are the Yazoo folks very pleased? And I am not in an HOA. I used to be. When I lived in Colorado, I was in an HOA. And when we moved to Minnesota about a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago now, that was a stipulation. I said, no HOAs if we can help it. And we were so lucky to find a house without an HOA. My neighbors have yet to say anything about my radio antennas yet. I'm waiting for the day. My neighbors know what they are. My neighbors right next to me, they had some RFI stuff going on, so I had to work with them, and I told them that I was an operator, and not to mention my car has an antenna on it and my ham call license plate. So it's not like it's a secret, but most people for the most part have put up with it to this point, which is good because there's some pretty big houses up and down our street. Some of the houses just a few doors down, $800 to $1 million, so 800,000 that is. So they're probably pretty particular about the neighborhood. And here comes Mr. Ham radio operator. Thankfully, haven't had any problems yet. And it's a fairly quiet area for noise floor. It's not perfect, especially with my neighbors because they love to have every tech gadget in the world and they have kids. So that makes it a challenge, but they've been very nice and accommodating. It was funny. When I first put up my station, when I got to Minnesota, I bought this house. I got on the air, and my neighbor was like, is it possible that your radio is making my kitchen lights go on and off? And I said, oh, absolutely. And I said, let me guess. You must have a dimmer switch. And they go, yep. And I go, okay, yeah. 20 meter FT8 was making their lights go, whoa, in their kitchen. They thought their house was haunted for a couple of days until they got a hold of me. It's pretty funny. So they just had to replace a dimmer switch, and now it's fine. Look up KE4BFG on YouTube. All right, I will do that. When I get those, can I use the same antenna that I have for CB on 10 meters? Yes. If you buy a 10 meter or 11 meter vertical, like an Antron 99, an IMAX 2000, if it's labeled like 10 meter or 11 meter, either one, most of the time they say 10, or they'll say 10 and 11. Yes. With a simple antenna tuner, you can use your 10 meter antenna on 11 meters. You can even probably tune it all the way down to 20 meters or 14 megahertz. It's not going to be a very good antenna all the way down there, but it is possible. I've done it. It's, again, probably not the best lobes that come off the antenna because it's not designed for that, but it does work, although fairly inefficiently. But yes, you can absolutely use 10 meter with an 11 meter antenna and vice versa. You just need an antenna tuner for that. Yeah, I said I didn't know that was the first fusion in Colorado Springs. The D. I did not know that. I thought there must have been one before that because, I mean, it's a pretty active area with clubs and whatnot. I'm surprised it's the first fusion machine. That's actually kind of surprising to me, having lived there for a year and a half in the Springs. If you're out in the country, that'd be like number one. I dream of what it's like to be in the country with like no noise floor. I have never lived out in the country. Of course, I've operated remotely, and it's just like a dream. I mean, you can hear a pin drop on the bands versus every neighbor's refrigerator and freezer for 3 miles, here in the city. So I dream of that, someday when we retire, long time from now, unfortunately, definitely going to try to get somewhere out in the country with a big tower. Don't tell my wife. Finally got your Pi Star figured out. Good deal. But yeah, HOAs are awful. They're really not ham friendly. Most of them are not. And they will hammer you for every little thing, not to mention your antennas. So if you can avoid it, don't do it. Can I use the CB-FM mode for my pirate radio station? Well, if you're a pirate radio station, obviously you don't care about regulations. So yes, you could. You could do that, although you got to figure out how you're going to get a powerful enough transmitter for it. But yeah, theoretically you could. You're not going to get great audio quality. It's not going to be the same as a broadcast FM. It's a whole different setup of FM. FM is not FM like when we think of FM radio, like in the car. How it's going to be implemented on 11 meters will be different, so it won't sound like that. It won't sound that good, but it will sound certainly better than AM. So theoretically, yes, would be the answer to that. Gray Line Performance flagpole antenna. I have wanted to get a flagpole antenna when I was in an HOA. I've heard a lot of them on the air, and they work pretty damn well for what they are. So, like, when that's all you got, that's all you got. Yes, I am 20 miles northwest of downtown Minneapolis in a suburb called Maple Grove, Minnesota. So again, 20 miles northwest. If you look at the map or you see the big loop of the highway that goes around the Twin Cities Metro, I am right on the northwest corner of that loop. That's where I live. And I have my 6 meter on. I think I'm on the correct antenna. Let me check. Yes, I have it on my 2-element Yagi. So it is on the correct antenna. I do have a little bit of interference here from my LED lights in the room, but not too bad. So my goal is to get my wire back up as soon as I possibly can. Or you tell me the frequency. You got to know where you're calling at. Where are you at? And I will tune. I'm on FT8 right now, but you just give me a frequency. So I want to get my wire back up. I got to chase my DX100. I'm at like 89 or 90 countries on my DX100, and that was since it hasn't even been a year yet. I think I'm 8 or 9 months in. I didn't get my HF station here on the air until November, right before Thanksgiving last year. So like in 5 or 6 months, I was able to get 90 countries. A lot of it's been FT8, which some people hate. That's fine. 5126. All right. Go to 50. Unfortunately, I cannot splice the audio in, by the way, for my radio. I'm not there yet. It's going to take probably a whole weekend of tinkering to figure that out. And I am pointed southeast, by the way, so I'm not sure where you're at. All right. Let's move off that a little bit, just because I got a little bit of a noise from this light right on that frequency. Let's go. Can you do 5165? That's going to be a little bit better for me. East of you, okay. It's not super narrow, so it should be fine. And I will have to turn off my mic here to be able to talk to you, which is kind of also a bummer. Well, let me bring out the hand mic here. That's what I'll do. Let me plug the old trusty hand mic back in. Never leave home without it. Plug this back into the icon here. I haven't had this thing on for a while. So 5165. It's just going to be better for me. So when you say east of you, how far east are we talking here? All right, let's do that. Make sure I got my gain turned up. All right, I'm on 5165, looking southeast, but again, it's fairly broad. Hold on here. It's wonking out because I had it on split. Kilo 0 Lima Whiskey Charlie K0LWC on 5165. What's going on out there in Michigan today? Hopefully you guys are having a good one. Hopefully it's not too terribly humid and nice. Glad to have you in here. K0LWC, thanks for joining in. Don't hear anything, but again, depending on where you're at, I might be able to turn it east. I got to go Armstrong it if you want. I'll give another shout. K0LWC, Kilo 0 Lima Whiskey Charlie on 5165, K0LWC. Not hearing anything. I'll do it on 126 as well. K0LWC on 5126. All right, 165 it is. All right. Oh, well, as I say, that's pretty far. You know, it's not impossible. I've been decoded over there on FTA a few times. Let me just go back here and look at another thing here. Let me just look at PSK Reporter. By the way, if you've never used PSK Reporter as well, I highly recommend it if you've never checked it out. Let me bring that up for you. I am on 5165, 50.165 upper sideband, looking southeast, but apparently I need to go turn straight east. Let me look at, let me bring this back up here for you. This is called PSK Reporter. This is actually a way to understand what the band conditions are in real time as well, and also see how they change from minute to minute. So if you're doing FT8 or anything else on digital modes, look at all these nodes that are listening on different frequencies. And you can get a sense of where you're being heard at. So if we take a look at the last, I'm going to look at the last day because I've been off the air now for a few hours messing with my audio. Let's look at the last 24 hours on 6 meters, my call sign, and I click go. It's going to show me where I've actually been heard and decoded. So this is where earlier this morning I was getting into on 6 meters. I mean, look at all this. This was pretty good this morning. I had a nice vein running right down here from Chicago down through Cincinnati out towards the Carolinas. Also had some Texas in there. But again, my antenna's pointed to the south and east. I also had some East Coast. But let's see, did I get near Wausau? Let's see. I did. Somebody here, looks like in Southwest Marathon County, decoded me 4 hours ago. KD9FLD heard me. Looks like he's west of Mosinee a little ways. Maybe out near Spencer? If I had to take a guess. Are my instincts still that correct on maps? That's got to be Spencer. It's not going to let me zoom in close enough, but that looks like Spencer. Eau Claire heard me. And then I got the usual suspects down this way. There's a couple big stations down this way, some big old towers that often hear me a lot when I am on. So let's see here. No antenna for 6. I can't do 20. I was just mentioning that my wire for HF got taken down a while ago, and I still have yet to put it back up. So cannot do 20. I was working on getting my antenna back up, but again, I was telling people earlier, if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, on either of those platforms, it's at K0LWC, just my call sign. There's a picture of me, and I showed what I looked like trying to work on my antenna before I was literally being eaten alive by mosquitoes. I kid you not. It was crazy back there. My house backs up to a protected wetland or a swamp, basically. The mosquitoes are now out of control in my yard. It's bad news. 10 meters can't do it either. It's a bummer. 10 meters also don't have the antenna up for it either, which is kind of a bummer. I said I'm missing HF big time right now. It's been a while since I've been on, and now my other antenna that I was using was taken down. I said usually if you were in Michigan, we'd have no problem getting in on 40 meters daytime. This would be the perfect time to do 40 meter. It would work no problem. But yeah, this was my 6 meter. I'm just taking a look at it again, and it was pretty good this morning. This doesn't look as good right now. But I'm on 5165, and I have my Yagi here in Minnesota pointed southeast. But 50 meters looks pretty closed up based on the maps here. And before I run, I got a decent amount of you here. What do you guys want to see for some video ideas? I have some ideas in my head about some things that I want to do for videos, but what do you guys recommend? Any ideas? You guys have video ideas, things I should cover? Interesting things, educational things? Drop me a comment, let me know. I got to figure that out here pretty soon. Drop this down. Maybe about like that. There we go. So if you have any video ideas for content, let me know. And I'll make videos if you guys have good recommendations about what I should do. Just post it up in the chat. Technician class stuff. What do you mean by that? Give me some ideas. Give me some examples. What do you mean by technician stuff? Do a video on CW Roundtable Ethics. That'd be interesting. Dude Star. Good signals on 40. Yeah, 40 meters look pretty good here on DX maps that I'm looking at right now. Which, by the way, if you're wondering again, that site that I looked at, looking for conditions, let's see here. Oh, 10 meters down in the Caribbean right now looks amazing. Is dxmaps.com. I'll post that up there. Baofeng stuff. Oh no, there's enough ham radio channels of Baofeng stuff. I mean, I said I had to do my reviews of the Chinese gear when they send it over, but I said I don't even own a Baofeng. Never have. Just never did. And they had QC problems early on. I never bought one. Again, but I do have Chinese radios because again, this would be a Chinese radio, the Anytone. But again, I wouldn't put it in the same class as a Baofeng radio. Oh, okay, yeah, open source. That rings a bell now that you say that. That project where, you can get into different kinds of modes through your computer. Yeah, I've heard of that. That is neat. And I said it's a great tool, especially for new hams. In fact, when I first got started, before I even got that loaner radio we were talking about earlier, how I got on the air first was using Echolink. That's how I got on the ham radio from the very, very early days when I was young. I just had Echolink. And I used Echolink a ton because I was in college for my first 4 years of being a ham. I got my ham ticket basically. I officially became licensed like right after high school. And went off to college, lived in a dorm, and didn't have any space for radio gear. So I used Echolink a ton when I was in college. I did have my radio gear at college, but let me tell you, when I keyed up my radio and I live in a dorm, there was a lot of speakers that heard me. So I was not a very big fan across the dorm. And I also, anytime I wanted to go operate on HF, I would have to go and take all my gear to the park and essentially set up a POTA station anytime I wanted to do HF, because there's no way I could do that in the dorm for a variety of reasons. But I was doing POTA before it was cool, okay? That was like a long time ago, because I'm basically a dinosaur, at least I said in my mind. So I was doing POTA before it was a thing, and it was a necessity because of college. FM on CV, I don't have any 11-meter gear anymore. I don't have it. I used to have a Galaxy DX959 that I got rid of. Don't have that one anymore. But yeah, I said, and not to mention, as of right now, it still wouldn't be legal. You know, if I was actually to show it and do it, which would be, you know, a component of the video, it's still not legal yet. They don't know exactly when they're going to make it a thing. They haven't announced it yet, but it's not yet. It's coming, just not yet. But yeah, grounding and bonding. Yeah, that'll get some comments, Thor. That always gets comments. How do you properly ground your station? I said I actually have a video that touches on it a little bit. If you've never watched it, it's on my channel. If you go back, it's KF7P. What is it, entry box? I forget what I called it. I actually showed how I routed my coax into my shack through the wall, which of course has a copper plate, lightning resistors, and then a ground rod. That's on my channel, but it wasn't dedicated to just that, right? A 6-meter J pole, I'm going to assume that is Dave. I actually had a 2-meter J pole, copper. Excellent. Worked like a fantastic antenna. That's actually what I stuck in my college window, was a copper cactus J pole, and I wedged it in my college window. And that's how I used to talk on the repeaters when I was able to, when I was in college. I was on the 4th floor. Got lucky there. I was like, yes. Thank whoever put me on the 4th floor during college. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Well, thanks for the content ideas, guys. I'm going to do some more videos coming up. I know I'm doing a video I'm reviewing Ham Radio Prep. They have an app for your phone to help you study for free if you're studying for different tests. So I'm going to be reviewing the application, the mobile app for Ham Radio Prep. That's coming up. Also going to be doing a video again on this audio setup that I'm still trying to figure out. Again, about how I'm using this microphone with my ICOM 7300 and why it's important that you have a preamp on the 7300 or any modern ICOM radio with this kind of microphone. I'm going to do a video on that. Also going to do probably some follow-up video. I kind of want to talk to Alex, and it's a bummer he's not in here now. He was earlier. W7HU, Alex. He is the guy who's been covering the Cuban jamming a lot. I did the video on that and talked about Alex. I want to cover his story. I didn't realize that he had an amazing story behind how he got to the U.S. in the first place. Alex has an incredible story about, you know, he had left Cuba. They built the raft, right? And on the raft, they had ham radio. They had a radio on the raft, and they ended up not being able to make it. And they actually used the ham radio to contact somebody who then contacted the Coast Guard in Mexico, who then came and picked him up, and then they actually immigrated from Mexico to the U.S. But he actually only survived that trip between Cuba and what they thought was going to be the U.S. because of ham radio. That's a cool freaking story. So I want to talk to Alex about that. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks so much for the support there, Canadian Maker Project. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. Cobra 2000 TL. Oh man, Cobra, that's classic. But yeah, I want to do a video on Alex. Alex has got a great story, and if you've never checked out his channel, just look up W7HU. What an awesome guy. He does live streams all the time. He's an awesome dude. So make sure you look up Alex if you haven't already. But that's it, guys. I'm going to go and mow my grass, and I'm going to go pick up some pizza for dinner tonight. So I'm going to get those two things done. Thanks to everybody who tuned in today. I really appreciate it. Thanks for everyone that helped me troubleshoot my audio. That was a great help. You guys don't know how helpful you were. Without you guys, I probably couldn't have figured it out. So thanks so much. Thanks to Canadian Maker Project for the $5. Really appreciate it. If you're ever curious to, like, when you drop money in or whatever, or the ads that are on my videos, like, where does that go? it goes into my kids' college fund. That's what I do with the money. So anything that I make off content here just goes into the little man's college fund. So thanks for all much the support, the likes, the comments. Anytime I post stuff, you guys are awesome. Hanging out with me here in the shack today. Really appreciate it. And we'll do more of these. Now that I got this new setup and I'm getting things kind of reorganized here in the shack, we'll do it again. We'll just keep on doing it. So again, I appreciate it. Love the support. Thanks for hanging out, guys. And watch out for some more of these videos coming up, all right? Take care. 73. Catch you again next time.